Hi Dragons! Today we're reading a New Zealand article. You're going to follow along as I read the article aloud. In the description box underneath this video, you will click on the Padlet link and answer the question. Remember, you need to click the plus sign in the bottom right hand corner to start typing in Padlet, and don't forget to write your name. Any questions, text, email, or dojo me. Let's get started. Life in an internment camp drove Yuri Kochiyama's commitment to social justice. Written by Zin Education and adapted by the New Zealand staff on February 27, 2019. Social justice was the life work of Yuri Kochiyama. A tireless activist, she was dedicated to social change. She participated in social justice and human rights movements. Kochiyama, born May 19, 1921, died June 21, 2014, is the most widely known for speaking out against the World War II arrest of Japanese Americans. Many became prisoners in internment camps, where they faced harsh conditions. Her own father died after being detained. She was on the stage at the Osborne Ballroom with Malcolm X on the day he was killed. Early life. Kochiyama was born and raised in San Pedro, California. After the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, her father, who was just out of surgery, was arrested and kept by force in a hospital. He was the only Japanese in that hospital, Kochiyama recalled. So they hung a sheet around him that said, "Prisoner of War." He was held for 6 weeks. His health worsened. He died the day after he was released. In 1943, President Franklin D. Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066. The government relocated everyone of Japanese ancestry who was living on the West Coast at the time. These individuals were loaded into cars, buses, trucks, and trains. They took what they could carry and left the rest behind. They did not know where they were going or for how long. Kochiyama and her family were sent to an internment camp in Jerome, Arkansas for 2 years. This experience and her father's death made Kochiyama aware of governmental abuses and unfair treatment. It would forever bond her to those engaged in political struggles. After being released, she moved to New York in 1946 and married Bill Kochiyama. He was a veteran of the 442nd Combat Unit of the U.S. Army. His entire unit was made up of Japanese Americans. Political activism and meeting Malcolm X. Yuri Kochiyama's activism started in Harlem, New York in the early 1960s. There, she partnered with Asian American, African American, and Third World movements. With these groups, she fought for civil and human rights and against the war in Vietnam. She also joined support movements involving organizations such as the Young Lords. It fought for Puerto Rican Americans and their neighborhoods. Soon, Kochiyama became founder of Asian Americans for Action. She sought to build an Asian American movement that worked for changes in government. She also hoped it would link itself to the struggle for Black liberation. Racism has placed all ethnic peoples in similar positions of oppression, poverty, and marginalization, she said. In 1963, she met the famous African American activist Malcolm X. Their friendship and political alliance changed her life and outlook. She joined his group, the Organization for Afro-American Unity, to work for racial justice and human rights. Yuri was present on the day he was tragically shot and killed in 1965. An article called "Death of Malcolm X" was published in Life magazine. Kochiyama can be seen in the background. She is shown cradling Malcolm X's head. In the 1980s, Kochiyama worked in the redness and reparation movement for Japanese Americans along with her husband. It sought money from the government for former prisoners and an apology for their unfair treatment during the war. Both of these goals were achieved. They also got money from the government to start an organization to educate the public about Japanese internment. Death and legacy. Support for political prisoners was always a part of Kochiyama's work. She supported African Americans, Puerto Ricans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, and whites who were imprisoned for fighting for social change. Yuri Kochiyama passed away on June 1st, 2014, at the age of 93.